Joining us now here and in the circle on D1 softball, powered by 643. She's the all-time winningest head coach in Utah. She is a Utah Hall of Famer. She's in her 19th season as head coach, 27th overall associated with the program. When you think Utah softball, you think of Amy Hogue, who joins us here on In the Circle on D1 softball once again. Coach, good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to talk to you.
When you look at last year, you had so many new faces. I remember we spoke last year. It was a lot of new faces. It was basically a rebuild on the fly. And yet you were in so many games but couldn't close. I think we even talked about that. And I remember it was fitting, like your last game of the season up at the Big 12 Championship against UCF. You got off to a tough start, came all the way back in the seventh inning to tie the game up, but then just couldn't hold on there. UCF wins it. In a way, that was kind of the narrative of the season. When you reflect on last season and with the returners back this year and a lot of new young faces this year, what do you take from last year?
Yeah. Well, I hope we take a lot from last year because if you don't learn from that, then you don't grow. And we need to grow. We had a lot of growing that needed to happen. And like you said, this wasn't a team that gave up, and yet we were just short, so many times for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes, like that game you're referencing, we just started really late, and it ended up, we tied it up, but couldn't close it out. Other games we started early and then couldn't hold the lead. So we had a lot of maturing to do, and I do think there was a lot of growth. I hope there was a lot of growth because that was a rough year, and if we didn't do any learning and growing, then it was worthless. So I want to believe it was worth a lot, all that growth and all that learning, even in losing. Sometimes you learn the most when you lose the close ones.
It was also year one, being in the Big 12, being a member of the Big 12. What did you learn from being in the Big 12 in the conference? Maybe you didn't know going in.
Yeah, I didn't know much about the Big 12. I mean, I think I've always kind of lived in my own little bubble. I don't know a lot of what's going on other places a lot. I think we have plenty to worry about here. So, being in the Big 12 the first year, some of the things I learned, I guess, I think they grow them bigger in the Midwest or something. I don't know. I felt like our team was kind of small. And we didn't have the power numbers some of the teams had, and they play a doubles, triples, home runs kind of a game more than a slap and run and a singles and steal kind of a game. And so the pack is different in that way. Felt like we kind of fit in more with the pack. But our team has changed a lot. So I'd actually say we are more looking like a Big 12 team when it comes to recruiting kids with power numbers instead. And we're probably not as fast. And so less stolen bases, a few more doubles and home runs, which is just fine with me as long as we have a shot to win every game we're in.
I'm looking at this roster this year. You got a lot, like I think 8 freshmen on the roster. You've added some transfers, and then you still have that core of last year, those new faces that are a year older. How would you describe this group as you've gone through the fall, and now here we're about a couple weeks away from the season?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. A couple weeks away and 8 freshmen. That's tough to right there. That's what this gray hair is. You see the gray that's kind of coming in. No, the freshmen have been great. We have a really competitive young group, and it's a piece we really needed because we graduated some that brought some competitiveness. We need more of it though, I mean, in writing some lineups, we could have 6 freshmen in the starting lineup on any given day, and so I like what they brought in. I like what they're doing. Yeah, the season's coming up quick, so you never have enough time, but ready or not, here it comes anyway. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they compete because day one in the fall, I could tell they were a real competitive group. And whether you're ready or not, if you're competitive, you have a shot on day one.
That's impressive. So you believe this freshman class will contribute right away? Six, at least six, maybe all 8 of them.
Yeah, not all 8 of them. That won't be happening because we have a couple of pitchers in there that are POs. But I do believe that at times, if we have a freshman in the circle, we could have 6 starting at the same time. I think a more realistic number is 4 on
Okay.
day one, but they're talented and they're pushing everybody I've got. So I don't care how old you are, the best kids are going in on day one.
So of the first freshmen, who has stood out already that you're like, wow, that
Mhm.
you because I know you like all of them, you have an idea, but once you
Yeah.
step on campus, now you really get to see
Right.
sense of them. So what have you learned, and who has stood out from that standpoint?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I already talked about a little bit of the changes of my team, maybe a little slower and a little bit more power. We had a game this fall that we won. I think we won 4-0, and Peyton Crank got a single, and Izzy Cruz got a home run. And later in the game, Peyton Crank got a single, and Izzy Cruz got a home run. I never waved my arm in a circle one time to send a runner. We won 4-0, and it was all freshman numbers. So, yeah, obviously, two of them right out of the gates were showing us some impressive things with their bat. But there's others. I mean, but again, the style of the game, the kids we recruited, it's different, and the numbers, their power numbers, their exit velos are higher, and they just give themselves a better chance to get on when they hit it because they're hitting it hard every time. So I'd say the two of them have been in every lineup I've written, and there's others too that are hitting it really hard. Sion hits it really hard. Mia Gomez hits it really hard. I mean, there's just power numbers, and trying to find defensive spot for each of them is going to be a challenge at times, but um, those are four power numbers that I need in my lineup to score enough runs to win when our ERA's been hovering around 4 for so long. So,
Yeah, and you add those pieces with players coming back like Proctor, who was an All Big 12 performer. She was a D1 softball freshman, All American type player. Speak of her and her impact and her growth into her sophomore year. I had a chance to talk to her. She said she learned a lot, which is what you like to hear from the freshman. That's always the growth you expect from a one year to the next.
yeah, Proctor is such a joy for me. She's also the reason I have some gray hair, but I mean that's kind of what we sign up for in coming here and doing this. It's a tough game, and a kid that hates failing as much as she does. I mean, she really hates it. They all hate it, but she seems to hate it more than the normal child. Very much expects. And a good example was yesterday we did a scrimmage, and I think she had three, I would have called them triples because our field's so big, and they went to right center. And I asked at the end of the day who thought they had a good day at the plate, and she didn't raise her hand. And I'm like, I think you had six at bats and hit three triples and didn't raise your hand. Like, what's it going to take? Like a 10 for 10 day? And she's like, pretty much. So I think I'm hoping she learned some balance would be good for her game, a little bit of some grace given to herself. She doesn't have to be perfect to be great for us. And I think the maturity level is coming. So I'm excited to see some more stability in her because she's just a great player. She can hit it, she can throw it, she runs well. She's great.
You mentioned this, and I've always the thing is that marvel about coaching staffs is when you have a player in this sport in particular that you're going to fail 70% out of the time when you're at the plate, and that's still and that's great. If you succeed 30 to 35%, you're doing great. How do you balance getting the most out of a player, maybe sometimes being tough on them to get the most out of them, but balance that with, hey, I want to make sure they don't lose their confidence, keep their confidence up. How do you balance that as a staff and try to figure out? I know that's easier said than that's not. It's a challenge constantly for coaches, but that is part of the job, isn't it? Is to try to get a feel for that, isn't it?
I think it's the fun part.
Ooh.
That's what's new every year. I mean, it's every year it's 60 feet and turn left, so that doesn't change. Although, who knows, the way we change our game, they might change that one day. But I do believe there's some consistency in the game, and it can get kind of boring if you're old like me and have done it for this many years. But what changes every year is the players that come in and what it is that they need from you. So someone like Proctor needs a little less of me riding her butt because she's already on her butt too much. So I have a different role, as opposed to someone who maybe doesn't seem to get as fired up when she doesn't do the little things well. And I have to prod them differently. One, I put an arm around and encourage her to be a little more. kind to herself, and the other one I'm like, hey, I need you to be more particular with the little things because they end up being big things for us, and it seems like you're not focused on the details or don't care that much about that. So yeah, knowing who you've got and what they need is the puzzle that keeps me in it. I sure love it.
Other players returning, of course, you got Passy back at short. What have you seen from her? And then who are some of the other players from the returners that you've noticed maybe making that jump?
Yeah. Shanti is leading the way at short. You know, she had a lot of chances last year to just run with it, and she kept making the hitting lineup, but we were trying to settle her in a position defensively. Her poise and her maturity level has grown to the fact that she's settling in nicely at short for us right now. And we needed that. She was kind of a slow starter. She was one of those, you know, steady kids that's trying to win the race, and I needed her to pick up the pace a little bit. She's done that. Never doubted her training, never doubted her talent. It's all been there, but she's a kid that I think will play this game, could possibly play this game as long as someone like Hannah Flippin, who's just going to keep getting better all the time. I mean, she's not even close to what I think her ceiling could be over time. As far as emerging players, you know, we have a new pitching coach who has helped Haley Mastretti develop in ways that I'm really excited about. Haley got a lot of innings for us last year, and yet seems to be thriving really well with being pushed by him. And he's adding some new things to her toolbox that I'm excited to see. Also, Racy, who's pitching for us, who didn't get to play last year, she was hurt, is looking as sharp as I've ever seen her, and we need her excellence in the circle in order to win games. Haley White's kind of waited her turn for a while, got quite a few innings last year, but really never broke out. And I think she was swinging it as well as I've ever seen her swing it this fall, and is a good leader for us. So, you know, I just think that some of the older kids, like I said, have had to raise the level of what they're doing in order to beat out some of these freshmen. So I'm really proud of what, you know, Haley White's done I mean, going into season, I feel like she's got a really good shot to start at second. So
You mentioned the pitching staff. I kind of smiled a little bit when you brought up, Haley and all this, because I remember a year ago when we talked about this, you literally had the least experienced pitching staff in the country. You barely returned any innings, if at all. I don't even remember the number. It was small. Like we
it's
talked
like
about.
10, 9
Yeah,
or 10, I feel like it wasn't even a dozen
right,
innings.
right. It was starting from scratch basically. But now you do bring back Haley with all that experience that she gathered, the ups and downs. Shelby Jones, you got Brooklyn. You mentioned Racy Miranda, the kid you were talking about that who didn't pitch last year from Fullerton. And then you mentioned bringing in Coach Karl Golan, who of course has been at Iowa, Ole Miss prior to that. You all of a sudden have a deep staff as a result with at least experience. What's it been like getting to know Coach Golan? What was it about him that you felt was the right person to bring into your program?
Yeah. I've really missed having a men's fast pitch guy on my staff. You know, when I knew that Paige was leaving, I had the opportunity to dig back into the men's fast pitch world and go, who's out there? And I've always had a men's fast pitch guy on my staff for so many of the years I've been here, and have missed that. And I think it was just such I don't know, it's a perfect storm of things for him having, you know, no school, and for me needing exactly what he has. So to me, I knew right away that he was the one. As soon as I talked to him, as soon as we interviewed him, I was sold. I had a bunch of other pitching coaches that had a resume that said absolutely everything lines up, and yet there was something about Karl that I knew if I had a shot to have him on staff, that's who I wanted, and we zeroed in on him. And we're lucky that he chose us. I mean, we're nowhere near home for him. He's left his wife and his dogs at home, and it's really been hard. But I'll tell you, it's been a win for us. And he's got someone like Shelby Jones, who you mentioned, and she had a lot of innings for us last year, but was nowhere near settling as far as what it is she is capable of doing and what we need her to do and what she expects she'll do over time. And he's really gotten her to a place where, um, I mean, we could give her the ball every other day. And even with how deep our staff is, she's going to get the ball a lot. And I think I wouldn't have said that maybe 6 months ago. So, I mean, she throws the ball hard, but really wasn't quite ready to lead. And last year she had to. And this year I think she can and is earning it. And again, just because you throw hard doesn't mean you are the wherewithal, can get it done. And she, yeah, I think he's settling her. And it's funny because they're very similar people. And I thought they would really clash, but it ended up he's really helping her, and I think she's really appreciating it.
That's incredible there. So you got Haley, you got Shelby. How do you envision this rotation working? Do you think that'll be established starters? Do you see it being by committee? I mean, what's it going to be, especially with Coach Karl's and his philosophy?
Yeah.
How do you see it? And it sounds like it's a different. I mean, just night and day. The staff this year at this time versus last year, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much more fun going into the season with the numbers of, kids that can throw it in a circle for us. Carl tends to like riding the same kid quite a bit. So the fact that we have quite a few and could pitch by committee, you would think that would be the plan. I don't believe he wants to do it that way. Whether he wants to or not, if we're not getting it done, we have depth and so we'll go deep. But I think our top three are the ones we've already mentioned. And I think they'll get the bulk of everything, especially the starts. I don't think anyone else is going to get a shot to start a game going into the season. But there's innings in there for everyone. There's too much knowledge, as far as what the other hitters are showing. And, we'll use everybody a little bit, but those three are going to lead the way. And if they're doing well, Carl will ride them. They will be the same kit for innings. It's kind of a men's fast pitch, I think, mentality, but I watched how he handled his pitching staff last year at Iowa, and I'm planning on that.
Well, and there's, I mean, again, it's an obvious statement, but these pitchers have to feel much more confident in themselves than they probably even did a year ago, where they didn't know like what was coming. That experience, and I know it's frustrating as a coach because you can only get them prepared so much. At some point, they got to figure it out on their own, and the only way to do that is experience. And it seems like as tough as last season was for the pitching staff, it could pay off this year big time.
Right. Yeah, those innings are really helpful. And yet, when Carl got here, he didn't want any of them to settle in. He kept putting the numbers in their face and reminding them that, hey, you're not really that good and you better keep training. And here's the things that I think you need to add. And he's been very clear on what he needs from them. And he definitely reminded us of like how short we're falling as far as the numbers go. If we want to be good, we're far away from, getting there. And it just has helped them to work. I think this team over the break worked harder than any team I've had, and they needed to because they were behind. They weren't as sore when we got into full team stuff. So normally we're going backwards a little bit this week and next week because we're recovering from the training that's at a high level. And but this group, we didn't have to. It feels like they're ready to go, and that's because of the work they did over the break.
One of the other things, of course, that'll help the pitchers, and Proctor, when I talked to her, mentioned this, is the defense behind them. How do you feel about your defense? Again, it was a lot of newness last year, so you're going to have some bumps on the road as a result of that. How do you feel about it this year? You got some youth competition, I know that, but what's kind of the vision there from your outlook? Because I know defense is a big something you take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, you know me because that is what I take a lot of pride in. I've handed the defense over to Kaya Gibson, and she's running the defense. And honestly, I think she has a tougher job than I've ever had because of what I said. We're trying to put some power numbers in the lineup and trying to figure out how to plug some holes on defense so that we can have them in the offensive lineup. Courtney Martinez is our hitting coach, and she's recruited a lot of these power hitters, and I really like who she's brought in. And Kaya's trying to figure out where to put him on the field to make it work. So I feel like we flipped some things. And as far as what you're used to seeing with the Utah team, where we used to put the best defense out there and try to figure out how to keep them under 2 runs, and we win 3-2. But I think we're going to win some more ball games 8-5 this year, and that's because we're going to hit it a little more and try to keep them under 4 runs would be a good goal, but I don't think this is a shutout kind of a defense. I think this is a score 6 or more type of an offense.
How do you build the chemistry in the team? You have, like I said, 8 freshmen. You added some transfers as well to the roster where you haven't talked about. How do you build that chemistry with the returners and the new faces?
Yeah. Spend a lot of time together, you know. I really think that that's the only way to do it with women. Try to get each other to care about each other, and then they'll play together well. We went on a camping trip this year. It was freezing too, by the way. I actually should apologize to them because I picked a really cool day to go up and sleep in our mountains in a tent, but hiked to the very top, doing a lot of things where we get to know each other. And honestly, trying to teach them how to support each other. You know, we can, with the depth we've got now, with some experience returning, we can go any number of ways with a lineup. And I don't think that works well if you don't have a team that cares about each other and that cares about the team more than themselves. And, you know, I think it's getting harder with this generation. They're told all the time it's all about them, and then they get in this environment and they're told it's all about the team. So kind of have to teach them how to do that a little bit. So we're doing the work there. I think this group likes each other a lot. I think they get along really well. We haven't played a game yet and got into some hard with, you know, some roles that maybe they don't like. So we'll see how we do with that soon. But I like the opportunity going in that we have some returners with some maturity, you know, and like you mentioned, we recruited a couple of more. Both Kate and Anna come in with a lot of poise and a lot of maturity from Cal and UCLA, and we needed that. We needed that last year, and I like what they bring to the dynamics of the team, not only physically but also just their demeanor that really helps us come all together.
Add some depth there as well to the pieces there. Who are your? Do you have established leaders yet, or is that still evolving?
You know what? We voted some captains. I really like who they picked. I think that they're natural leaders anyway, even without being voted. Both Haley White and Jolie Mayfield and Emily Capo Bianco, the three of them are our captains and were voted by the team. All of them got a lot of innings last year, played a lot of experience there. They're just the type that are doing the right thing all the time. So they're a great example for us on how it's done. All of them have played the role of starter and coming off the bench and not play at all. So that experience is really going to help when we have some that don't get a starting role for the first time in their life, you know, some of these freshmen. So I'm anxious to see how they can help stabilize our team as we get in the season and go through some hard. I'm relying on them a lot to do that. So they've worn a lot of hats, have a lot of experience, and that wisdom is going to help.
I'm glad you brought up Emily there. I was going to ask you about Emily there and like Reese Lee and then even Sakai, the second baseman. What have you seen from them this season in the fall after last season? I was pretty impressed with Reese and Emily when your production last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, I'd say this fall, Reese might have been one of my top hitters. And last January, going into season, she was really hot and had the best February. You know, I told her, you know, the other day that I think it's really important that you just have the same February as you had last year because I think she hit like 550 or something. I mean, she out of her mind, played great and really understood the place of softball in her life. She had over emphasized production and being good, and it stressed her out, and she let go of some of that and became more of a free player. And honestly, it flipped more than anyone I've ever seen when I've coached kids at this level. I'm like, if you could just care a little bit less, you'd play more free and be great. And she's the one that actually made that change and was one of my best hitters, really. And then got into a funk, and March was a little harder, but I've seen her be a great leadoff hitter for us, and she's been slotted there quite a bit. Siani she can play anywhere. That kid is fast and squirrely and can go make the best play ever, lay down a bunt, hit a double, steal a base, play left, play second. I plan on placing her quite a few places this year. She could start any number of positions and come off the bench. She's going to help us win games. And Capo, that's her nickname, Emily Capo Bianco. When I say her name in full, it sounds odd, but Capo, who's a captain this year, has worked hard for that role. She's one that tends to stand back and is kind of soft in nature, and yet last year, as you saw and mentioned, she kind of broke out with her bat, had some really fun walk-off game-winning swings for us, and I think she liked it. I think she realized playing bigger and being a little more willing to get out of her comfort zone has really helped her game, and decided she really wanted to start speaking out and was voted captain. And I was really happy for her because the effort she put into being more of a presence has been really fun and necessary for this team. And we need that from her. She's one of those seniors that's really stood out.
It sounds like you like the depth and versatility you have potentially for this offense. And as a result, the versatility here where you can move some pieces around in defense to get the lineup that you want. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes, it's useful to have the Siani's, like if Siani didn't start a game, to be able to use her if we, put more doubles and home runs in our lineup, and then I'm gonna have to get pretty creative to get a defense out there that I think fits. But if we could just get, the Capos to be able to run like the Siani's, then it'd be a lot easier. But it's a whole team effort here. Capo's gonna hit the ball out of the park, and if she happens to hit a double, we might need Siani to run and then go secure up left field for us. And that's my job. That's the puzzle I get to do. Try to get as much production out of what we have, even if it means being a little creative with the lineup.
I do wonder too, with your offense and the potential it has, it's got to also help give confidence to your pitching staff. And I wonder if there's, they realize a message where while ever they want to be perfect, they strive to dominate. You don't have to be necessarily perfect because you have an offense complementing you. And I would imagine if you're Haley, if you're Shelby, a Racy, that okay, if I give up a run or whatever, I know my offense has my back, which has to help you from a mental standpoint. Is that something that the pitchers are aware of, or is that have you sensed that from them that they have confidence just because they know now they have? Okay, I know this offense has my back.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to talk to them about it and see, because obviously it looks like they should know that, but it'd be good to ask them if that relieves some pressure for them, or to pay attention to the fact that this team's going to score runs for you, and that should relieve some pressure. They're not going to be, and it's the reason I brought it up. They're not going to be asked to shut everybody out. They're not going to be asked to, you know, make sure no one scores more than 2 runs. That's not their job. Solo home runs should not beat us. So hopefully they are hearing that message, and then I'll make sure they have the other message in case they didn't notice that, we're going to score runs for them, and that should also help with some of the pressure. I think Haley's got a little bit more of a calm to her, like trusting her team, and I think it's, the Raceys and the Shelbys that are a little bit more, I got to be perfect. And that's just because that's how they're wired, kind of like Proctor, that they really want to be perfect all the time. And I have to remind them that that's actually not possible. And it's my job to, keep them real in the fact that your job is to keep them under 4 runs. And we're
Yeah.
supposed to score more than four.
Well, because I've seen it. We've all seen it where pitchers. I mean, the pressure. A pitcher sometimes there's pressure as there is, right? Because you're right there in the circle. Everybody can see you and all that. So that in itself is a battle. And I've seen it where pitchers sometimes, if they don't feel like the offense has their back, whatever, they feel they have to throw a no hitter in the first, in 1 inning. Perfect. Gotta be perfect game. And then all of a sudden you're not pitching as well because I know you had some control issues last year. And I think that was part of it. They were feeling I got to be a perfect pitch here,
Right.
and perhaps knowing that offensive production and all that maybe kind of comes. Okay, let's just execute and we'll be fine type of deal. So
Right.
small things like that. It's what makes this sport so fascinating. It's why you enjoy it, isn't it? It's just little nuances like that just makes a difference in this sport.
It makes a big difference. Like you said, 3 more outs and we win that game. Just 3 more outs. And we have a 3 run lead. Like it's really, don't make it more than it is. And yet, I haven't stood in the circle. I don't know what that feels like. I love that Carl has, and he knows how to coach that through them. But you add on not only everything we talked about, but the pressure of someone like Racy, who had to sit out last year because of injury. She's in her last year. She's feeling and looking as good as she has. That's pressure in itself. And it doesn't matter who we're playing or what the score is. She's putting on a lot on herself to have it be the best year ever. And so, yeah, trying to bring that down to a level that is manageable and useful for production and for joy. I mean, we haven't even talked about that yet. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you, this team is pretty serious and pretty talented and has a bone to pick because of how bad we were last year. And I'm trying to pump joy into them any chance I get because I've known it, seen it, lived it, taught it. I believe in it. And if all we're doing is training and working and focused and we're not there's no joy out there, then even if we did win, we're doing it wrong. Like this is a game. We should have fun. We should enjoy each other. These are your friends that hopefully you get to have for the rest of your life. I'm still best friends with all my teammates, and it's brought so much joy to my life. So I don't want them to miss that either. So yeah, a lot of pressure to do all of them, win games, have fun, get better every day. Just
I,
that. That's all.
well, I remember you told me that was a part of the run to the World Series. That you just were having fun. You weren't thinking, overthinking it.
Yeah. It was easier with that team. I think that we were together for a lot of years.
Sure.
They had a lot of experience, so they didn't worry so much about what their job is. And yet, I have a lot of freshmen that don't know the signals quite yet or even where to stand on defense. So, if you're worried about your role on the field and where to stand, you're not going to pick it up and throw it to first with less pressure, with less thinking. And yet, that team, that World Series team, I mean, most of them had started for 2 or 3 years and they knew exactly where they were supposed to go and what to do. And now they were just hanging out with their friends every day. And it was a magical time and it's what we're trying to recreate.
No doubt. A couple things hit up. I can't not talk to you and not bring up the big news recently, of course. The Utah Talons got professional softball in the Utah there at AUSL. Had a great crowd last year when they did it, and I think that made a difference. Just talk about the impact of that and the impact it'll have on your program, but just the impact of having pro softball in Utah.
Yeah. Oh man. I couldn't sleep when I knew that we had a shot, and it's funny because it's been a long time coming. Like the first time they came out and visited our site, even just to have them come play last year here, just to be on the list of places to be considered for this announcement that was just made and actually get to host a team. I mean, this has been a couple of years coming, and I remember when they first came to visit us and I had my list of things to tell them why this place would be absolutely perfect. And I didn't even have to talk them into us because Utah really does sell itself. I mean, I like that I was prepared with a list, but I mean, they just spent time here and went, oh yeah, we're definitely going to come here and study it more and see if the community comes out. And then, of course, we checked all those boxes and sure enough, we get a team and we will not let people down. I mean, I bought tickets. I bought my season tickets, which was kind of fun because I hadn't really gone to our ticket site before. So that was new. But to go and buy seats so that I can make sure and have a good spot to watch every bit of that game and to support the Talons. Obviously, I have keys to the building. I could probably get in just fine. But I want to support this, and I can't wait for the press conference they're doing here at the end of the month, and get behind Hannah and having her on that field again. And the community's really excited, and I had to buy tickets on day one because they're going fast.
I figure you get hooked up, no, with the
Probably,
facility. Come on.
probably, but then I can't give money to something I think is really important.
Fair.
So I like that I got my name on some seats, and so does my whole family.
Speaks volumes, too, of your facilities. Because they're not just going to go anywhere if the facilities are not good. I know talking to people, so that speaks volumes, too, and it's got to be a big got to be proud of the facilities in your stadium and the people working it. That hey, we feel comfortable playing in that place.
Yeah. Yeah, what's funny about that is Trevor is the one that does our field, and he's going to get it prepared for them to play on. And mostly AU is bringing all their own people, except like the field guy. And, Hannah has said out loud, Hannah Flippen, that she's played everywhere in the world, and this field, this infield in particular, is her favorite. And I believe her. I know what Trevor does to make that field great. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful backdrop. It's a great place to play softball. And in the summer, you don't have to worry about it being a little bit cold on certain days. So I love that it's summertime softball here in Utah. So I think the fans will come out. I'm calling them to come out.
Well, and I think you're going to get a lot of people from the West travel to Utah that maybe normally wouldn't travel just to see pro softball. Because I saw that last year when you hosted, people were coming out of everywhere. I remember even I talked to Coach Laura Berg, who actually went to Utah for that when they played the pro games, just because she wanted to see it in person. So I think I think it's gonna be a hit. I'm excited for you all. Congrats on that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I know Proctor said she had fun with it. So it's again that's the other thing too from your player standpoint, man. You could stick around in the summer and off season as you're trying to get better and get to see the very best do it.
Very much. And we'll run camps on either side of every home contest. Like you said, if we're drawing in some people from the West, and there's an opportunity for recruiting for us that I think is a big deal. A lot of the Talons team is from the West. There's a lot of California. So I think we'll get a lot of, UCLA fans and West Coast people coming out, and they get a chance to see our program. And even if that's not what they came for, they think they came to see the Talons, they're going to see the University of Utah, and they're going to possibly meet the coach, and because I'm going to make sure and be around, and maybe they can participate in the camp and have a chance to play on that field, on the front end or the back end of the games.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, is that a big any adjustments from your end? Because I know you may have camps and stuff, but it sounds like it's not a big adjustment at all. Is that as far as your scheduling in the summer and all
Yeah,
that?
well, what I decided to do is let them dictate when they're gonna want to do the games here, and then I'll run the camps on either side. I didn't set the camp dates first. I decided to let them do that. So now that we have the schedule, we'll start popping some camps up on either end and or both ends, and make sure the community and the recruits and the people have a chance and some access to the same field, so they can picture themselves doing it one day. It's something that's the greatest piece of all of this. There's some young women that never had a chance, like me, to see it done when they were kids. They now have a Maya Brady, a Hannah Flippen, right there in front of their eyes on the same field, and they can picture themselves doing it.
Very good. I'm excited about that, but that'll be in the summer. We got a season to come now here. And my last question before I let you go here, what are you looking forward to finding out about this group once games get going that you think will help you define the season?
Well, a couple things that I already mentioned, can we start a game strong, and then can we hold it through the finish? I'd love if we can do both really, really well this year. I think that we were average to poor at both of those last year. We either started too late or we couldn't finish if we did start early. So it's 7 innings, and I want to see that we can maintain that composure and have a little more experience, hopefully, to get that done this year. Because I do believe talent wise, we even had it last year. Hence the reason we have some same starters as last year. But that maturity to start strong and close it out is key for me this year. So and have a little more fun, because I think we just wait till we're doing well to have fun. And I actually think if you do it in the reverse order, if you have fun, you'll do well. So we'll put it in the right order this year.
That is Utah head coach Amy Hogue, Utah Hall of Famer, joining us here and in the circle at D1 softball. Coach, always a pleasure to talk to you. Enjoy every time we've done this over the years. I look forward to seeing you this year. We'll cross paths so when you come down the East Coast and then some. But good luck this season, and thanks for always talking to us here on In the Circle.
Every time, Eric. I love seeing you, and I love what you're doing for our sport. So appreciate you a lot. Go Utes.